Welcome to WTEW Bible Studies. Today we're going to talk about Syria. Let's look at a map so we get some bearings. Syria is this dark portion here. So Israel is right over here. So Israel's gotten control of the Gaza Strip. They got peace now with Lebanon over with Hezbollah. And Hezbollah normally helps Syria out when they get in trouble. We had the Arab Spring not too many years ago, and Assad was the only one, he's the president of Syria, the only leader that was able to hang on. And there was just a brutal, bloody civil war there in Syria. But now, with the Russians preoccupied in Ukraine, the Russians were also there in Syria helping out Assad. He doesn't have help from either Lebanon or Russia. And now there are some Muslims that have taken over. So it's taken over the city of Aleppo. That's a pretty big city there in Syria. And there are some prophecies about what will happen in Damascus and concerning this leader of Syria. So I'm going to get to that. And we're going to read Revelation 13, 1 to 8. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rising up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. Let me just say right there, that's going to be this new Roman Empire that's going to form, and 10 kings are going to comprise this new Roman Empire. So there's going to be a peace treaty, and Israel is going to have 3.5 years of peace during this time. And the beast which I saw was like a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth were as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. So this beast that he sees, we saw this beast, these different beasts in the book of Daniel. So we had a leopard that was represented the kingdom of Greece. So Greece ruled the world for a while. And the bear, well, that was Media Persia, who was also another world leader. And the mouth, like the lion, well, that would have been Babylon the Great, so under King Nebuchadnezzar. And the dragon gave all of these different kingdoms their power. He also gave power after those 3 kingdoms to the Roman Empire. So Satan is the one in charge. He's the spiritual authority behind these powers. And then we get to verse 3. And I saw one of his heads as if it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon which gave power unto the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. And power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. So we've got 10 nations, which are pictured as 10 heads, and one of these heads is going to have a deadly wound. And that would, I believe, is going to be Syria. So Syria is going to fall. It hasn't fallen yet. Damascus is the capital of Syria, and that would be the head of Syria. So there's these different ways that heads are pictured. They're pictured as capitals. They're pictured as just these countries themselves. They're also pictured as the leaders of these countries. So Assad right now is the president, the leader of Syria, and the head could picture any one of those things I just mentioned. But after this Roman Empire has been established with these 10 kings, there's going to be another one that's going to come up after them, and that is going to be this Syrian king. We're going to go to look at Isaiah now to see what's going to happen to him. Well, this Syrian king, before I go to Isaiah, he is going to take power for 3.5 years. So the Roman Empire is going to have power over Israel for 3.5 years. So the headquarters there will be in Rome. And then Syria will take power from this Roman Empire. So it's going to destroy Rome, and it's going to be the head over these 10 nations. So Syria is going to be the head for the last 3.5 years or 42 months of Daniel's 70th week that you can find in Daniel 9:27. And he's going to say that he's God, and everybody needs to follow him. So is that Assad? I don't know that for a fact, but things are shaping up right now. This might not happen for another 100 years, but right now things are looking like they're going according to end times. So I wanted to tell you about the possibilities that may happen. So let's go to Isaiah now. We're going to read 17, 1 to 4. The burden of Damascus. Remember, Damascus is the capital of Syria, and a burden could also be an oracle. So this is a prophecy concerning Damascus, and bad things are going to happen there. So behold, Damascus is taken away from being a city, and it shall become a ruinous heap. So Damascus is one of the longest populated cities in world history. It's so old, but people have lived there and it's been a city forever. But it's going to become a ruinous heap. The cities of Aurora are forsaken; they shall be for flocks which shall lie down, and none shall make them afraid. The fortress also shall cease from Ephraim, and the kingdom from Damascus, and the remnant of Syria, and they shall be as the glory of the children of Israel, says the Lord of hosts. And in that day it shall come to pass that the glory of Jacob shall be made thin, and the fatness of his flesh shall wax lean. So what's going to happen? Israel is going to take over Syria. Then Israel is going to have problems, and they're going to be taken out of Syria, and there's not going to be that many left. So that's what it means when they'll be made thin. There'll be famine in the land for them. They're going to be struggling, so they're going to have a time of 3.5 years under the Roman Empire where they're going to flourish over in Syria. But then when the Syrian king comes back to power, when his mortal head wound is healed, that means he's going to come back to power. It's going to look like he's driven away and never going to rule Syria again, but he's going to come back into power. And it's going to be trouble for Israel in Syria. And then we're going to look at verses 12 to 14, also in Isaiah 17. Woe to the multitude of many people, which make a noise like the noise of the seas, and to the rushing of nations that make a rushing like the rushing of mighty waters. The nations shall rush like the rushing of many waters, but God shall rebuke them, and they shall flee far off, and shall be chased as the chaff of the mountains before the wind, and like a rolling thing before the whirlwind. And behold, at eventide trouble, and before the morning he is not. This is the portion of them that spoils us, and a lot of them that rob us. So Syria is going to meet their fate too. They're going to come in. They're going to have a great army at the Euphrates River that's going to come in, and that's going to come through Syria under this Antichrist ruler. He's going to go down through Israel. He's going to go all the way to Egypt. So that's one portion of this prophecy, how that's going to be fulfilled. But there's also a second rendition of that. So that's the sixth trumpet, but also we're going to see at the end times how all the nations of the world. So when this Antichrist from Syria takes over Egypt, there's going to be tidings from the east and the north, and he's going to be troubled, and he's going to have to go back up there. Well, these nations, Turkey and Iran and Russia, they're all going to form together and say, we're going to take this area, and we're not going to leave this up to the Syrian king. But somehow they're going to make a treaty amongst themselves, and they're going to all form together to fight against Jesus when he comes. And again, this innumerable armies are going to come down. They're all going to die on the mountains of Israel. And that's when we see images of the birds just, there's going to be so many they can't bury. And so all the birds are going to be feasted on all just the rotting corpses in the land, because there's so many armies that are gathered together to come fight. And it's just going to be horrific. But that is the time when God is going to set up his 1,000-year kingdom on the earth. He's going to rule from Israel for 1,000 years. He's going to gather together things in heaven and things in earth, and he's going to reign from that little tiny country of Israel in Jerusalem. And that's how that'll be peace on earth, goodwill to them, to men. Merry Christmas.